The Great Hall of the Galactic Council was full of noise. Hundreds of alien beings from across the galaxy sat in their seats, talking in their strange languages. The air buzzed with the sound of translators working hard to change words from one language to another. Ambassador Velthar stood at the center of the room. He was tall even for his people. His green scales caught the light from above, and his yellow eyes looked worried. The Nexari were known for being careful about everything, but today Velthar looked more than careful. He looked scared. "Friends of the Council," Velthar said, his voice clear and strong. "We must talk about the humans. They want to join us, but I think this is a bad idea." The room got quiet. Many of the aliens turned to look at a small section where 3 humans sat. They looked so different from everyone else. No scales, no extra arms, no glowing skin. Just soft pink and brown skin, dark hair, and simple clothes. Dr. Kim Daeho sat in the middle of the 3 humans. He was about 50 years old with gray hair at his temples. He wore a dark blue suit that looked plain next to all the colorful alien clothes around him. His face stayed calm, but his dark eyes watched everything. "The humans have been on their planet for a very long time," Velthar continued, "but in just a few hundred years they learned to fly among the stars. This is not normal. Most species take thousands of years to do this." Elder Zephys made a sound like singing bells. The crystal being's body was clear like glass, and light danced through it in pretty colors. "Ambassador Velthar, you worry too much. The humans show great promise. Their Dr. Kim has been very polite and smart in all our meetings." Dr. Kim stood up slowly. "May I speak?" he asked in perfect galactic standard language. "Of course," said Council Leader Morpheus, a being that looked like it was made of flowing water. "Please tell us about your people." Dr. Kim walked to the speaking area. His steps were quiet but sure. "Honored members of the Council, my people only want peace. We have learned much from watching the stars and dreaming of joining you. We have science, art, and music to share. We wish to learn from your wisdom." Many of the aliens nodded. The humans seemed so small and weak compared to the great beings of the Council. What harm could they do? But Velthar was not finished. "You do not understand," he said, his voice getting louder. "I have studied these humans for 20 years. They are different from us. They are dangerous. How can they be dangerous?" asked Korth, the voice of the Catherian collective. When Korth spoke, it sounded like 1,000 people talking at once, because that was exactly what it was. "They have only small ships. Their weapons are simple. Their bodies are weak." Velthar's tail moved back and forth the way it did when he was upset. "It is not their bodies or ships that worry me. It is their minds. These humans, they think about war in ways we do not understand." The room got noisy again as aliens talked to each other. Dr. Kim waited patiently, his hands folded in front of him. He looked like he was listening to music, not like someone being accused of being dangerous. "What do you mean?" asked Elder Zephys. Velthar pulled out a small device and pushed a button. Pictures appeared in the air above them. The pictures showed Earth, the human homeworld. But these were not pretty pictures of cities or nature. These were pictures of war. "Look at their history," Velthar said. "For thousands of years, humans have fought each other. Not just small fights, but huge wars that covered their whole world. They have weapons that could destroy their entire planet, and they built these weapons to use against their own kind." The pictures changed. Now they showed human soldiers, human tanks, human aircraft. The aliens in the room looked uncomfortable. Most species in the galaxy had never seen real war. They had evolved past fighting before they became smart enough to build weapons. "Every human alive today comes from warriors," Velthar said. "They have been fighting and killing for so long that it is part of who they are. When they look at you, they are thinking about how to defeat you. They cannot help it," Dr. Kim finally spoke. "Ambassador Velthar is right about our history. Humans have fought many wars, but we have also learned from these wars. We know the cost of fighting. That is why we want peace now, you see," said Elder Zephys. "They have learned. They have grown beyond their violent past." But Velthar was not convinced. "Have they? Dr. Kim, tell the Council about your military. How many ships does Earth have?" Dr. Kim smiled, but his eyes stayed cold. "We have enough ships to protect ourselves, Ambassador. Nothing more. How many is enough?" Velthar pressed. "That would depend on what we need to protect ourselves from," Dr. Kim replied. The way he said it made some of the aliens feel uncomfortable. There was something in his voice. Something that suggested the humans were more ready for trouble than they appeared. Commander Park Min-soo, who sat behind Dr. Kim, leaned forward slightly. He was younger than Dr. Kim, maybe 40 years old, with the straight back and quick eyes of a soldier. He had not spoken during the meeting, but the way he watched the room made it clear he was ready for anything. "I ask again for the council to be careful," Velthar said. "These humans may seem peaceful now, but what happens when someone threatens them? What happens when they decide they want something that belongs to someone else?" Council Leader Morpheus raised a watery hand. "We will vote now. All those who support human membership in the Galactic Council." Light began to glow from different parts of the room as species voted. The Catherians voted yes. The Crystal Elders voted yes. Even the proud Draknari, who rarely agreed with anyone, voted yes. Only the Nexari voted no. "The motion passes," announced Council Leader Morpheus. "Welcome to the Galactic Council, humans of Earth." Dr. Kim bowed deeply. "Thank you. We promise to be worthy of your trust." As the meeting ended and aliens began to leave, Velthar approached Dr. Kim. The tall reptilian being looked down at the human, his yellow eyes full of worry. "Dr. Kim," he said quietly, "I hope I am wrong about your people, but if I am right, the galaxy will pay a terrible price for today's decision." Dr. Kim looked up at him. For just a moment his polite smile faded, and Velthar saw something else in the human's dark eyes, something cold and calculating and very, very dangerous. "Ambassador," Dr. Kim said softly, "I hope no one gives you a reason to find out." Then his smile returned, and he walked away with his companions. But Velthar stood there for a long time watching them go, wondering what the council had just unleashed upon the galaxy. In the human section of seats, Commander Park Min-soo spoke quietly into a small device. "Mission accomplished. Phase 1 complete. Begin Phase 2 preparations." The device crackled back with a voice from Earth. "Understood, Commander. The fleet is ready." Dr. Kim heard this exchange but said nothing. He just smiled and waved to the aliens who congratulated him as they passed. The galaxy welcomed humanity with open arms, never knowing that those arms had been holding weapons all along. Captain Lee Hyo-jin stood on the bridge of her ship, the Determination. Through the big window in front of her, she could see the blue and green planet below. New Sol was a beautiful world with wide oceans and green forests. It had been humanity's first colony outside their home system, and she was proud to be protecting it. "Captain," said Lieutenant Choi Soo-bin from her station, "I'm picking up something strange on the sensors." Lee Hyo-jin walked over to look at the screen. Dark shapes were appearing at the edge of the star system. "Big shapes? Very big shapes. How many?" she asked. 12 ships, Captain. They're huge, much bigger than anything we have." Lee Hyo-jin felt her stomach drop. She knew what those ships were. Every human in space had been warned about them. The Vorthak hegemony had been conquering worlds for over 1,000 years. They were known throughout the galaxy as the species you did not want to meet. "Get me Dr. Park down on the planet," she ordered, "and send a message to Earth. Code Red." Dr. Park So-young was in her laboratory when the call came. She was studying alien plants that might help humans grow food on other worlds. The work was important and peaceful, exactly the kind of thing humans were supposed to be doing as new members of the Galactic Council. "Doctor?" came Captain Lee's voice through the communicator. "We have a problem. The Vorthak are here." Dr. Park felt her blood turn cold. She had read the reports about the Vorthak. They were big, strong, and mean. They took what they wanted and killed anyone who got in their way. No council species had ever been able to stop them. "How long do we have?" she asked. "Not long. They're moving toward the planet now." Dr. Park looked around her laboratory. It was full of peaceful things. Plants, books, computers for studying nature. None of it would matter if the Vorthak decided they wanted this world. "I'll start sending our research to Earth," she said, "just in case." Up in space, the Vorthak ships were getting closer. Lee Hyo-jin could see them clearly now. They looked like flying cities covered in weapons and armor. Each one could probably destroy her small ship with a single shot. Incoming message. "Captain," reported Communications Officer Kim Jae-won. Put it on screen. The view screen flickered, and suddenly Lee Hyo-jin was looking at the ugliest face she had ever seen. War Master Gruxtal was huge, with gray skin covered in scars. His teeth were like knives, and his small red eyes looked at her like she was something he wanted to step on. "Small human," Gruxtal said in a voice like breaking rocks. "I am War Master Gruxtal of the Vorthak hegemony. This world now belongs to us. You will leave or you will die." Lee Hyo-jin took a deep breath. She had trained for this moment, but she had hoped it would never come. War Master, she said, keeping her voice calm. This world belongs to humanity. We are members of the Galactic Council. You cannot just take it. Gruxtal laughed, a horrible sound like metal being torn apart. The Council is weak. They make rules but cannot enforce them. We take what we want, human. We always have. Perhaps we can reach some kind of agreement, Li Hyojin said. Let me contact my superiors on Earth. Maybe we can work something out. Gruxtal's red eyes narrowed. You have one of your days to decide. Surrender the planet or we will take it by force. Your choice. The screen went black. Li Hyojin turned to her crew. They were all young humans, most of them scientists and explorers, not soldiers. But she could see something in their eyes that made her proud. They were not afraid. They were angry. Get me Admiral Choi on Earth, she ordered. Priority 1. On Earth, Admiral Choi Woo-jin was in a meeting when the message arrived. He was a small man with gray hair and quiet eyes, but when he heard about the Vorthak threat, those eyes became very hard. How many ships? He asked. 12 dreadnoughts, sir, reported his aide, Commander Yoon Mina, standard Vorthak battle formation. More than enough to destroy the colony and Captain Lee's ship. Admiral Choi stood up and walked to a large map of human space. New Seoul was marked with a blue dot, far from Earth but close to his heart. It had been his idea to put the first colony there. Signal Fleet Group 7, he said. Prepare for immediate departure. And activate Protocol 7. Commander Yoon looked surprised. Sir, Protocol 7 is for war situations only. Commander, Admiral Choi said quietly. The Vorthak just declared war on humanity. They just don't know it yet. Back at New Seoul, Dr. Park was working frantically to save her research. She had spent 3 years studying the plants and animals of this world, learning how they could help humanity. She could not let that knowledge die. Her assistant, Dr. Lim Jong-soo, burst into the laboratory. Doctor, the Vorthak ships are moving closer. Captain Lee says we might need to evacuate. Dr. Park looked up from her computer. How many people are on this planet, Jong-soo? About 50,000, Doctor. Mostly families, children. Dr. Park's hand stopped moving on the keyboard. She thought about all those families, all those children. They had come here to build a new life, to make something beautiful far from Earth. The Vorthak wanted to take it all away. Keep working, she said. We're not leaving. In space, Captain Li Hyojin was watching the Vorthak fleet. They had stopped just outside the planet's atmosphere, waiting for her answer. She knew what they expected. Every other species in the galaxy had surrendered to them when faced with such overwhelming force. Captain, said Lieutenant Choi, I'm picking up new signals. Ships dropping out of hyperspace. Li Hyojin looked at her sensors. 3 new ships had appeared, moving fast toward the planet. They were human ships, but not like any she had seen before. They were sleek and dark, covered with weapons she did not recognize. This is Admiral Kim Tae-won of the Earth Defense Fleet, came a voice over the radio. Captain Lee, please report your status. Li Hyojin had never heard of Admiral Kim Tae-won. She thought she knew all the human admirals. Admiral, I have 12 Vorthak dreadnoughts demanding the surrender of New Seoul. I was ordered to contact Earth for instructions. Your instructions are simple, Captain. Protect the colony. We'll handle the Vorthak. Li Hyojin looked at the 3 human ships on her screen. They were beautiful, but they looked so small compared to the massive Vorthak fleet. Admiral, there are 12 of them. They have enough firepower to destroy this entire system. Captain, Admiral Kim replied, and she could hear something like amusement in his voice. Let me tell you something about humans. We don't like bullies. The Vorthak had been watching the new arrivals too. War Master Gruxtal's flagship sent a message to the human fleet. Small human ships, Gruxtal growled. You are brave but stupid. Leave now and we will kill you quickly. Stay and we will make your death slow and painful. Admiral Kim's response was broadcast on all frequencies so everyone could hear it. Even the people down on New Seoul heard his words. War Master Gruxtal, he said, his voice calm and steady. My name is Kim Tae-won, Admiral of the Human Defense Fleet. You have threatened a human colony and demanded the surrender of human territory. This is unacceptable. Gruxtal laughed again. Human, you have 3 tiny ships. I have 12 dreadnoughts. Your mathematics are bad. Actually, Admiral Kim replied, my mathematics are perfect. You see, War Master, you made one critical error in your calculations, and what error? You assumed we were alone. Suddenly, space around the Vorthak fleet began to shimmer. More human ships appeared out of nowhere, dozens of them. They had been there all along, hidden by technology the Vorthak had never seen before. But even more surprising was what happened next. The three ships that had arrived first began to change. Sections of their hulls slid apart, revealing weapon systems that should not have existed. These were not exploration ships or even normal military vessels. They were something else entirely. "War Master," Admiral Kim said, "let me introduce you to human military doctrine. We call it speak softly and carry a big stick. You've been speaking to our diplomats for months. Now meet our stick." On New Sol, Dr. Park and her assistant stopped their work to watch the sky. They could not see the ships, but they could see the lights beginning to flash up there among the stars. "What's happening?" Dr. Lim asked. Dr. Park smiled for the first time since the Vorthak had arrived. "I think," she said, "humanity is about to introduce itself properly to the galaxy." War Master Gruxtal stared at his battle screens in confusion. Moments ago, he had been facing 3 small human ships. Now his sensors showed dozens of vessels surrounding his fleet. They had appeared from nowhere like ghosts becoming real. "How?" he roared at his tactical officer. "How did they hide so many ships?" The Vorthak officer, a smaller version of Gruxtal with the same gray skin and red eyes, looked terrified. "Unknown, War Master. Our sensors detected nothing. This technology is beyond our understanding." On the bridge of his flagship Iron Fist, Admiral Kim Tae-wan studied the Vorthak formation. He was a thin man with sharp eyes and silver hair. He had spent 30 years in the human military, fighting in the colony wars that most aliens knew nothing about. "Dr. Yang," he said to the woman sitting at the tactical station. "Analysis?" Dr. Yang Bora was young for such an important job, maybe 35 years old. But she was the best tactical mind in the human fleet. She had studied every alien military force in the galaxy, learning their strengths and weaknesses. "Classic Vorthak intimidation formation," she reported. "They put their biggest ships in front to scare their enemies. Their weapons are powerful but slow to target. They expect their enemies to either run away or surrender." "What don't they expect?" Dr. Yang smiled. It was not a nice smile. "Speed, sir. Coordination. Intelligence. They've been winning fights through brute force for so long that they've forgotten how to actually fight." Admiral Kim nodded. "Begin Operation Mosquito." The human ships suddenly scattered in all directions. To the Vorthak, it looked like the humans were running away in panic. Gruxtal laughed with satisfaction. "See?" he told his crew. "Humans are cowards like all the other Council species. Fire on the fleeing ships." The massive Vorthak weapons began to turn, tracking the human vessels. But the humans were moving in ways that made no sense. They twisted and turned like flying insects, never moving in straight lines. The big Vorthak guns could not follow them. Then the first human ship vanished. "What happened to Target 7? demanded Gruxtal. "Unknown, War Master. It simply disappeared from our sensors." Before the Vorthak could figure out what was happening, explosions began blooming along the side of one of their ships. The humans had not run away. They had used some kind of cloaking technology to become invisible, and now they were attacking from multiple directions at once. "Return fire!" Gruxtal screamed, but there was nothing to fire at. The human ships would appear for a few seconds, launch their weapons, then disappear again. It was like trying to fight shadows. Captain Lee Hyojin watched the battle from her position near the planet. She had seen many things in her career, but she had never seen anything like this. The human fleet moved like a school of fish, each ship knowing exactly where the others were without seeming to communicate. "How are they doing that?" asked Lieutenant Choi Subin. "Practice," Lee Hyojin replied. "Lots and lots of practice." What the Vorthak did not know was that humans had been preparing for this kind of fight for decades. While the galaxy thought Earth only had a few exploration ships, humanity had been building a secret fleet. More importantly, they had been developing new ways to fight. Dr. Yang Bora's tactical computer showed her everything happening in the battle. Each human ship was connected to the others through quantum communication links that worked faster than light. When one ship found a weak spot in the Vorthak defenses, all the other ships knew about it instantly. "Target the weapon clusters on Ship 4, she ordered. "Concentrate fire on their shield generators." 20 human ships appeared at once around the Vorthak vessel, firing precisely at the same small area. The alien shields collapsed under the focused attack and the ship's main weapons went dark. "Impossible," Gruxtal roared. "No species fights like this. Where is your honor? Where are your battle formations?" Admiral Kim's voice came across the communication channel. calm and cold. Honor doesn't win wars, War Master. Intelligence does. Preparation does. We've been preparing for you for a very long time. The truth was even worse than Gruxtal imagined. For 3 years, ever since joining the Galactic Council, humans had been studying every military force in the galaxy. They had learned the Vorthak battle tactics, ship designs, weapon capabilities, and command structure. Dr. Yang's computers contained detailed plans for defeating every major alien fleet. "Sir," reported Dr. Yang, "their command ship is showing weak spots in the rear armor. If we can get behind them, do it," Admiral Kim ordered. 6 human ships suddenly appeared directly behind Gruxtal's flagship. Their weapons were different from the others, smaller but more precise. Instead of trying to destroy the massive ship, they targeted specific systems. Communication arrays, sensor clusters, and shield generators disappeared in small, controlled explosions. "We're losing communications with the fleet," reported the Vorthak tactical officer. Gruxtal looked around his bridge in growing panic. Half his ships were damaged or disabled. His own flagship was blind and deaf, and he still could not figure out how the humans were doing it. "All ships ramming speed," he ordered. "If we can't target them, we'll crush them." But the Vorthak ships were massive and slow. By the time they began to move toward the human vessels, the humans were already somewhere else. It was like trying to step on flies with boots made of lead. On New Sol, Dr. Park So-young and her assistant watched the lights flashing in the space above them. They could not see the details of the battle, but they could tell something amazing was happening. "The human ships are so much smaller," Dr. Lim Jong-soo said. "How are they winning?" Dr. Park thought about her own research, about how small, fast creatures could survive while big, slow ones went extinct. Sometimes being small is better than being big. Sometimes being smart is better than being strong. In space, the battle was almost over. 8 of the 12 Vorthak ships were disabled or destroyed. The remaining 4 were trying to escape, but human ships kept appearing in front of them, blocking their path. "War Master," Admiral Kim's voice came over the communication system. "I'm going to give you a choice. Surrender now and your surviving crew will be allowed to leave in escape pods. Continue fighting, and we will destroy every ship in your fleet." Gruxtal's red eyes blazed with fury. "You fight without honor." "This is not warfare. This is human warfare," Admiral Kim interrupted. "We don't fight for honor, War Master. We fight to win. We fight to protect our people, and we're very, very good at it." The Vorthak War Master looked around his ruined bridge. His proud fleet, which had conquered dozens of worlds, had been defeated by ships he could barely see. His warriors, who had never known defeat, were dead or dying. "How long have you been preparing for this?" he asked quietly. "Since the day we joined the Galactic Council," Admiral Kim replied. "We knew someone like you would come eventually. Species like yours always do." Gruxtal felt something he had never experienced before, fear. Not fear of death, but fear of what these humans represented. They were not like the other Council species. They thought about war the way his people thought about breathing, as something natural and necessary. "What are you?" he whispered. "We're the species that spent 10,000 years fighting ourselves," Admiral Kim said. "We learned how to fight by fighting the smartest, most dangerous enemy in the galaxy. Other humans. Compared to that, fighting you is easy." The remaining Vorthak ships powered down their weapons. Their crews began abandoning ship in small escape pods. Within an hour, the proud fleet that had threatened New Sol was nothing but floating wreckage and defeated survivors. Dr. Yang Bora looked up from her tactical station. "Battle is over, Admiral. No human casualties. The colony is secure." Admiral Kim nodded. "Send a message to Admiral Choi on Earth. Tell him the Vorthak problem has been solved." "What about the survivors?" asked Captain Oh Min-jun, one of the ship commanders. Admiral Kim was quiet for a moment. Then he said, "Let them go. Let them tell the galaxy what happened here. Let everyone know that humanity keeps its friends safe and its enemies very careful." As the Vorthak escape pods limped away from the battle zone, Gruxtal sent one final message to the human fleet. "This is not over, humans. The galaxy will know what you are now. They will fear you." Admiral Kim's response was simple and terrifying in its calmness. "Good." The news traveled across the galaxy faster than light itself. The Vorthak hegemony, undefeated for over 1,000 years, had been completely destroyed by humanity. 3 small human ships had turned into dozens. A fleet that could conquer planets had been reduced to scrap metal in less than 2 hours. Ambassador Velthar sat in his private office, reading the reports with growing dread. He had tried to warn the council, but even he had not imagined it would be this bad. The humans had not just defeated the Vorthak, they had made it look easy. His assistant, a young Nexari named Sylvan, brought him another data pad. "Sir, we're getting reports from all across the galaxy. Every intelligence service is asking the same question." "What question?" Velthar asked, though he already knew. What else are the humans hiding? Velthar's scales shifted to a darker color, the way they did when he was very worried. "That, my young friend, is exactly the right question, and I fear we will not like the answer." In the Galactic Council chambers, an emergency session had been called. The Great Hall was full again, but this time the mood was very different. The aliens who had welcomed humanity just months before now looked nervous and scared. Elder Zephys stood at the center of the room, her crystal body flickering with uncertain light. "We must discuss what happened at New Sol. The Vorthak fleet was completely destroyed." "This changes everything." "Changes what?" asked Hivemind Korth, though their 1,000 voices sounded less confident than usual. "The humans defended themselves. The Vorthak were the aggressors." "Yes," said Elder Zephys, "but how they defended themselves is the problem. Our intelligence reports say the humans used technology we have never seen before. Ships that can become invisible, weapons that can target specific systems, coordination that seems impossible." Dr. Kim Daeho rose from his seat in the human section. He looked exactly the same as he had months before, calm, polite, and reasonable. But now the other delegates looked at him differently. They saw something dangerous behind his quiet smile. "Honored council members," he said, "humanity acted only to protect our colony and our people. We used the minimum force necessary to stop the Vorthak threat." "Minimum force?" asked Velthar, standing up from his own seat. "Dr. Kim, you destroyed one of the most powerful fleets in the galaxy without losing a single ship. If that was minimum force, what would maximum force look like?" Dr. Kim's smile never changed, but something flickered in his dark eyes. "I hope, Ambassador Velthar, that no one ever gives us reason to find out." The room got very quiet. The way Dr. Kim said those words made everyone understand that humanity was much more dangerous than anyone had realized. Council Leader Morpheus flowed forward in his liquid form. "Dr. Kim, the Council needs to understand. How many ships does Earth really have? What other weapons do you possess?" "We have enough to protect ourselves and our allies," Dr. Kim replied. "Nothing more, nothing less." "That is not an answer," pressed Elder Zephys. "It is the only answer you need," Dr. Kim said, and his voice was no longer polite. It was cold and hard. "We came to the Council seeking peace and friendship. We have offered to share our science and culture, but we will not share our military secrets, and we will not allow anyone to threaten our people." Behind Dr. Kim, Commander Park Min-soo sat quietly, but every alien in the room could feel his presence. He was clearly a soldier, and the way he watched everyone made it clear that he was always ready for trouble. After the session, small groups of aliens met in private rooms to talk about the human problem. The Dreknari, proud warriors themselves, were some of the most worried. "They fight like demons," said War Chief Thakmor, a huge being with 4 arms and skin like metal. "No formation, no honor, no warning. They appear from nowhere and strike like lightning. How can we defend against an enemy we cannot see?" asked his aide. Thakmor's metal skin turned a darker shade of silver. "I do not know, and that terrifies me." In another room, the peaceful Calarian Republic was having their own crisis meeting. The Calarians had not fought a war in over 2,000 years. They were artists and philosophers, not soldiers. "Perhaps we should try to make friends with the humans," suggested Council Member Yelena. "If they are as dangerous as they seem, it is better to have them as allies than enemies." "But what if they decide they want our worlds?" asked another Calarian. "What if they are just waiting for the right moment to attack?" No one had an answer to that question. The most worried species was the Zentorian Empire. They had been the strongest military power in the Council before the humans arrived. Their fleets were known throughout the galaxy for their discipline and technology. Emperor Zalnoth called his military commanders to an emergency meeting. "I want to know everything about human military capabilities," he ordered. "Ships, weapons, tactics, everything." Admiral Mextar, the head of the Zentorian fleet, looked uncomfortable. "Your Majesty, we have tried. Our intelligence services have been watching human space for months. But we cannot learn anything." "What do you mean?" They hide their military assets too well. We know they have colonies on 12 worlds. We know they have trade ships and exploration vessels. But their warships? We cannot find them. Emperor Zalnoth felt a chill run through his royal body. Are you telling me that humanity has a fleet powerful enough to destroy the Vorthak, and we have no idea where it is?
Yes, Your Majesty.
They could have 1,000 ships or 10,000 ships. We simply do not know. The Emperor was quiet for a long time. Then he said, double our border patrols, triple our intelligence efforts, and send a message to Dr. Kim. Tell him the Zentorian Empire wishes to discuss a mutual defense treaty. Sir, if we cannot defeat them, Admiral, we must join them. While the galaxy panicked, humanity went back to business as usual. Dr. Park So-young continued her research on New Sol. Captain Lee Hyo-jin returned to her normal patrol duties. The colony grew and prospered as if nothing had happened. But other species began to notice small things. Human trade ships always seemed to know about pirate attacks before they happened. Human colonies were never raided by slavers or criminals. Human diplomats spoke softly, but somehow always got what they wanted in negotiations. Ambassador Velthar requested a private meeting with Dr. Kim. They met in a small room away from the main council chambers. Velthar's scales were pale with worry. Dr. Kim, he said, I need to ask you something, and I hope you will give me an honest answer. Of course. Ambassador, how long have you been preparing for war? Dr. Kim was quiet for a moment. Then he said, since the day we first looked up at the stars and realized we were not alone. How many ships do you really have? Enough. How many worlds do you really control? The ones that matter. Velthar felt his heart beating faster. What do you want, Dr. Kim? What does humanity really want? Dr. Kim's smile returned, but now Velthar could see the steel behind it. We want what we have always wanted, Ambassador. We want to be left alone to live our lives in peace. We want to protect our friends and our families. And we want to make sure that bullies like the Vorthak never threaten innocent people again. And if someone tries to stop you, then they will learn what the Vorthak learned. Humanity is very good at problem-solving, Ambassador. We have had a lot of practice. After Velthar left, Dr. Kim made a call to Earth. Commander Oh Se-jun answered, a serious-looking man in a military uniform that most aliens had never seen before. Commander, Dr. Kim said, it's time for Phase 3. Understood, Doctor. The fleet is ready. Should we reveal our true strength? Not yet. Let them wonder. Fear of the unknown is more powerful than fear of the known. But make sure our allies understand that we protect our friends. And our enemies? Dr. Kim's smile turned cold. Our enemies will learn that humanity keeps very detailed lists and we have very long memories. As news of the Vorthak defeat continued to spread, the galaxy began to change. Aggressive species became much more careful about who they attacked. Criminal organizations avoided human space entirely. Even the most powerful empires started treating human diplomats with new respect. The balance of power had shifted, and everyone knew it. The question was not whether humanity was dangerous. The question was how dangerous they were, and the fact that no one knew the answer made them even more frightening. In the depths of space, hidden fleets moved in the darkness, waiting for orders that might never come. Humanity preferred peace, but they were ready for war, and the galaxy was beginning to understand that when humans prepared for something, they did it very, very well. 2 years after the Vorthak incident, the galaxy was a very different place. The old rules no longer applied. Species that had ruled through fear found themselves irrelevant overnight. The strong preyed on the weak no more because humanity was watching. The Nexari Empire made the mistake of testing this new reality. Emperor Nexathulan was proud and foolish. He believed his empire was still powerful enough to challenge the humans. When human trade ships began carrying valuable minerals through Nexari space, he saw an opportunity. We will blockade their ships, he announced to his war council. These humans may have defeated the Vorthak, but they cannot fight the entire galaxy. They will pay our taxes or find another route. Ambassador Velthar was not in that meeting. He had been demoted for his excessive caution about the human threat. If he had been there, he would have warned them. Instead, the Nexari fleet moved to surround the main hyperspace routes through their territory. The first human ship to encounter the blockade was a cargo vessel called the Promise. Captain Bae Junho was carrying medical supplies to a council world suffering from a plague. When the Nexari ships demanded he stop for inspection and taxation, he sent a simple message to Earth. We have a problem. Admiral Song Ji-hai received the message at Earth Defense Command. She was younger than most admirals, maybe 40 years old, but she had earned her rank in the secret war against space pirates that most aliens knew nothing about. She studied the report with cold professional interest. How many Nexari ships? She asked her aide. 47, Admiral. Spread across 6 different positions. They've effectively closed their space to human traffic. Admiral Song walked to a large display showing the galaxy. Red dots marked Nexari territory, a significant block of space between human colonies and council worlds. It was a critical trade route that humanity needed to keep open. Option 1, she said to her staff. We negotiate. We pay their taxes and accept their authority in their space. That would set a bad precedent, said Colonel Nam Tae-hyun, her tactical advisor. Every empire in the galaxy would start demanding tribute. Option 2, Admiral Song continued. We find another route. Go around Nexari space instead of through it. That would add months to shipping times, reported Commander Shin Da-eun from the logistics department. The plague victims would die before we could get them the medicine. Admiral Song nodded. Option 3 then, she turned to her communications officer. Signal Fleet Group 12. Operation Clean Sweep is authorized. Ma'am, the officer said nervously. Operation Clean Sweep involves simultaneous strikes on 47 targets across 6 star systems. The Nexari will see it as an act of war. Admiral Song's smile was sharp as a blade. Officer, when the Nexari blockaded our ships, they declared war on us. They just didn't know it yet. In Nexari space, the blockade was going well. 3 human ships had been stopped and forced to pay heavy taxes. The Nexari captains were pleased with themselves. These humans were just like all the other council species, weak and easily bullied. Captain Kethvar commanded the blockade from his flagship in the Altair system. He was watching his sensors when something impossible happened. Every human ship in Nexari space vanished at exactly the same moment. What just happened? He demanded of his sensor officer. Unknown, sir. All human vessels have disappeared from our scopes. Kethvar felt the first stirring of unease. Run a full sensor sweep. They must be hiding somewhere. But before his officer could comply, new contacts appeared on the screens. Not just a few contacts, hundreds of them. Human ships were materializing all around every Nexari position simultaneously. This is Admiral Song Ji-hai of the Human Defense Fleet, came a voice over all communication channels. Nexari vessels, you have illegally detained human civilian ships and demanded tribute from humanity. This is unacceptable. Captain Kethvar tried to respond, but the human admiral continued speaking. You have 1 minute to power down your weapons and withdraw from your current positions. If you do not comply, we will consider you hostile and act accordingly. This is Captain Kethvar of the Nexari Imperial Navy, he finally managed to say. You are in Nexari space. We have the right to control traffic through our territory. Captain, Admiral Song replied. You have the right to control your own ships. You do not have the right to threaten ours. Around Captain Kethvar's ship, dozens of human vessels had appeared. They were sleek and dark, nothing like the exploration ships the galaxy had seen before. These were clearly warships, and they carried enough firepower to level a planet. 30 seconds remaining, Admiral Song announced. Kethvar looked at his tactical display in growing panic. The same scene was playing out across 6 star systems. Every Nexari blockade position was surrounded by human ships that had appeared from nowhere. It was coordinated to a degree that should have been impossible. Sir, his tactical officer reported, they're targeting our weapon systems. Very precise locks. They could disable our entire fleet without destroying us. How many ships do they have? Kethvar whispered. In this system alone? At least 50. Across all positions? Maybe 300. Kethvar felt his world crumble. The Nexari Empire had thought humanity possessed perhaps a dozen warships. The reality was that they had been completely wrong about human capabilities. All ships, he transmitted to his fleet, stand down. Power down weapons. The Nexari blockade dissolved in minutes. Human ships escorted the Imperial vessels to the edge of their patrol zones and watched them leave. Not a single shot was fired. The message was clear. Humanity could have destroyed the entire Nexari fleet but chose not to. On Earth, Admiral Song received reports from all task groups. Operation Clean Sweep complete, she announced to her staff. No casualties on either side. The trade routes are open. Admiral, asked Colonel Nam, The Nexari will report this to the entire galaxy. Everyone will know we have a fleet this size. Good, Admiral Song replied. It's time the galaxy understood that humanity protects its interests. And more importantly, it protects its friends. Dr. Kang Min-ho was humanity's new chief diplomatic strategist. He had replaced Dr. Kim Dae-ho, who had returned to Earth for health reasons. In reality, Dr. Kim had been recalled because his cover as a simple scientist was no longer believable. Dr. Kang was different from his predecessor. Where Dr. Kim had been subtle and diplomatic, Dr. Kang was direct and clear. He called a meeting of all council species to discuss the new reality. Friends, he said to the assembled aliens, it's time we talked honestly. The galaxy has changed, and we need to understand what that means. Elder Zephys spoke for many when she asked, Dr. Kang, how many ships does humanity really possess? Enough, Dr. Kang replied, giving the same answer his predecessor had always given. But that's not the important question. The important question is what we intend to do with them. And what do you intend? Asked Emperor Zalnoth of the Zentorian Empire. Dr. Kang stood up and walked to the center of the chamber. Unlike Dr. Kim, he did not smile or try to appear harmless. His face was serious and his voice was strong. We intend to keep the peace, he said. We intend to protect the innocent. We intend to make sure that strong species cannot bully weak ones. And we intend to ensure that trade routes remain open and safe for everyone. By force? Asked Hivemind Korth. If necessary, Dr. Kang replied without hesitation. We prefer diplomacy. We prefer negotiation. But if someone chooses violence, we will respond with overwhelming force and absolute precision. The room was silent for a long moment. Then Velthar, who had been restored to his position as Nexari ambassador after the blockade incident, stood up. Dr. Kang, he said, I tried to warn this council about humanity 2 years ago. I was ignored. Now I have a different question. What question, Ambassador? Are you offering us your protection, or are you threatening us with your power? Dr. Kang's answer would be remembered by historians for centuries to come. We are offering our protection to anyone who wants to live in peace. And we are promising our full attention to anyone who threatens that peace. The choice of which category you fall into is entirely yours. Over the following months, the galaxy reorganized itself around this new reality. The Galactic Council still existed, but its role had changed. Instead of being a forum for the strong to dominate the weak, it became a place where disputes were settled peacefully under humanity's watchful eye. Species that had been enslaved for generations found themselves free. Pirates and raiders discovered that attacking civilian ships was suddenly a very dangerous profession. Worlds that had paid tribute to aggressive empires stopped paying, and found that humanity would back them up. Captain Lee Hyojin, now promoted to admiral, commanded the human patrol fleets that kept the peace. She often thought about how different things had become since that first day, when the Vorthak had threatened New Sol. The galaxy is safer now, she told her first officer, Commander Yoon Sung-min, as they patrolled the border between human and alien space. Yes, ma'am. But do you think they truly understand what we did? Admiral Lee looked out at the stars, thinking about all the species out there who now lived without fear of conquest or slavery. They understand that we're strong, she said. But more importantly, they understand that we use our strength to protect others, not to hurt them. That's what makes us different.